Hi everyone! Back today with a new video, and I'm so excited. This video is actually one video that I wanted to do from the beginning, but I felt, it was more important to introduce myself and kind of share my values and beliefs before stepping into this video. But now I think this video is a little bit past due, now that I've kind of had who I am up and running on my YouTube. So what I wanted to talk today about was beginners in paganism and Wicca, and where to start. I'm going to first off say that there is no set way to begin practicing. There is no set way that you have to practice. Wicca and paganism are totally open. There are several branches you can go to and follow, and it's just a big open community that most of us are willing to help each other. So that being said, I want to start off by saying the best thing you can do as a beginner in paganism and Wicca is to read. Read and learn. A good way to read and learn is, there's online shops, you can buy books, libraries, maybe a pagan or Wiccan friend that might have the book. And yeah, that's pretty much what I recommend. Things you might want to read up on are, if you so choose to incorporate the deities into your path, which, believe it or not, some Wiccans and pagans don't, and that's a personal preference. But when it comes to deities, and if you would like to incorporate them into your practice, I would recommend looking up pantheons that you might enjoy working with, and kind of reach out to them and let them know that you're interested in them. And by pantheons, I mean the culture the gods are from, i.e. I follow the Egyptian pantheon, the ancient Egyptian gods. There's the Celtic, the Norse, things like that. So that's one good thing to look up. Another is looking up the tools that are used in paganism and Wicca. Because you are a beginner, you might not have these tools, you might not have access to these tools, there might not be a metaphysical shop around, or for some reason you're not allowed to practice at home and you want to keep it subtle, and that's fine. Tools are not necessary in paganism and Wicca. It's just a way for us to kind of focus, using an object to kind of focus our intent. So, like me, I probably wouldn't be able to practice with a sane mind if I hadn't had my tools, because they're so incorporated so much into my practice that I probably could, but I could not work without them. So yeah, reading up on the tools, such as the chalice, the athame, the cauldron, what the candles mean, crystals, things like that, things you choose to use. Because you may not use these tools, you might. And because of that, even if you don't feel you're going to use these tools later on or currently, reading up on them is still a good idea, just because, later down in the line you might decide, hey, I want to try this, or, there's nothing wrong with learning and having knowledge, so that way the chalice is a water symbol, and the athame is a fire symbol, and that these two would represent the phallus and the vagina. That being said, a few other things you might want to read up on are things you want to incorporate into your practice that you think you might use, such as tarot cards, pendulums, things like that. Crystals are another one. Another thing like healing, Reiki, the chakras, things like that. So those are things you really want to read up on, and by reading up on them you can kind of figure out, do I want to use these in my practice, or do I want to go DIY, or the best thing you can do to get these tools, if you don't have a metaphysical shop around you, or you can't get things online for whatever reason, or you want a cheaper alternative, the best place to go, I would suggest, is a thrift store. A thrift store has everything. I can tell you about 75% of the things on my altar are from a thrift store, and most of them are actually candles, bowls, and statues. I mean, I've found a goddess Isis statue, a gold one, it's about yay big, at Goodwill. I also found a Bastet, the cat goddess statue. I found that at Goodwill. A bunch of pillar candles, taper candle holders, a bell, a couple bowls, things like that. So you can always rely on that, but you know, it's not needed. So basically, when you start off, you're going to feel pretty overwhelmed because you're not going to know where to start. What should I start reading? What I recommend is to start reading on what Wicca is, Wicca or Paganism. So a good thing to Google if you wanted to read online, Wicca for beginners, Paganism for beginners. Usually they'll have a good starting point for you, and you can just kind of escalate from there on your interests, basically. Another way to kind of introduce yourself into the pagan community and start practicing, start learning, go online, meet a few pagans, see if there are some in your community that you can get a hold of. Most pagans in my community have no problem with you knocking on their door randomly and saying, "Hi, I'm new," but that's just kind of how some of us are. There are many sites that are based off of like Facebook, MySpace, for pagans and Wiccans. There's Wiccan Together, there's Pagan Space, there's a few others I can't think of off the top of my head, but those are just a few I've seen and worked with. And going into the pagan community can be a bit overwhelming too, because you feel, like when I started, I walked into a, I believe it was Wiccan Together, and I wanted to start talking to people and start learning and, you know, find the people that had interests similar to mine in terms of what I would practice and what I wanted to believe in. And I thought it was pretty overwhelming, but once I got to know these people, and they were ecstatic when it came to finding newbies, because somebody to share information with, and that all that hard work that they've, all the hard work that they've done, the reading, the learning, the experiences, all of that they can pass on to you. So that's one way I like to help my pagan community, is by doing these videos and running my Tumblr, which is lunarchildofnut.tumblr.com, but I'll put the link down in the description for you, because that blog is kind of like my YouTube. It's a place for me to reblog pretty photos, but also at the same time feedback information to some of the people that follow me. And I actually have a bunch of people come and ask me questions, and 99% of the time that question will be answered on the spot, unless it's the middle of the day or really late at night. Now that I'm a night, well, not now, but since I'm a night owl, I do still kind of have limits, but yeah, that also is a good place to go. Tumblr is a good place to go to meet pagans and Wiccans. I mean, just go in the search bar, look up pagan, Wiccan, magic, witchcraft, witch, things like that, and tons of people will show up. Now, I just want to say that there are some problems within the pagan community on Tumblr right now, so some people might not be as nice because they're screaming cultural appropriation, racism, things like that. And by the way, cultural appropriation, layman's term, disrespecting a culture, which I've actually been called cultural appropriator, because I follow the ancient Egyptian pantheon and worked strictly with them, but they thought I knew nothing about Egypt, its culture, and its past, etc. But I proved them wrong. So yeah, these are definitely things I recommend that you do when you start off, just so you can ground yourself and kind of figure out where you want to start, where you're going to branch, and especially talking to new people. That's a big one, because, you know, when you start off, you don't know exactly what to look up on the internet, or what to go and look for in the library or online on the stores. So when you go in and talk to people, whether face-to-face or online, they can, you know, they've been there, they've gone through all that, now they probably are more experienced, they can give you feedback on what they think you should do, where you should start, they can give you information, and we're pretty much all pretty helpful here, so that's a good thing. Excuse me. But that's pretty much what I have recommended for most of the beginners that have come to me. And don't forget that I am still here, that you do not have to go do this. You can start where you want to start. You can talk to who you feel you're more comfortable with. But I just want to put it out there that I am out there to talk to anybody about Wicca, paganism, things like that. When I started paganism and Wicca, you know, I researched traditional Wicca first, then I started branching off Dianic, eclectic, Gardenian, Alexandrian, things like that. So I actually have a lot of knowledge in many different branches of paganism and Wicca, so I'm not just stuck in helping people with Egyptian paganism. So there are books I can recommend, sites I can recommend, people I recommend you can talk to, and just this plethora of information. I'm not going to say that I am the most experienced witch to hit YouTube or Tumblr, but I am pretty experienced just because of first-hand experiences and things. You know, I've talked to people that have taught me things. So yeah, I really hope that helps out. So yeah, like I said, feel free to drop a comment, a video response, head over to my Tumblr, drop an ask in my box, message me, do whatever you feel necessary. There are, another video I might be making would be recommending some YouTube channels and some Tumblr blogs. That beginners, you know, might start out with, or people that are just beginning in another branch might start out with by talking to them. So yeah, that's what I recommend for us newbies out here. So hopefully my 4 years of experience will be enough for the new kids to come over and talk to me. I am 18. I'm still pretty young. I'm still a kid in the pagan community, trust me. So, yeah, that's about it. Hopefully I'll have a few more videos up within the next few days. My desktop computer is kind of fried right now, and my laptop, well, I should say my mother's laptop, constantly being used. So videos might be kind of on a standstill right now, but hopefully I'll get that power cord for the computer. But yeah, that's it. Feel free to talk to me. I don't bite, trust me. I'm a very nice person. I'm very sociable, and I love to help. And I love passing on new information because, you know, anybody that's coming into paganism and Wicca, into the new faith, that's great. I'd love to hear about people starting. So yeah, feel free to drop by, come ask me questions, talk to me, go read up on my blog, go talk to me on my blog. Which, by the way, that's probably the best thing to do, because I check my blog more than I check YouTube. So I'll make sure to put that link up in the description, and I hope you guys have a blessed day. Blessed be.